Russia is clearly backing Republicans. Why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at the latest new Q post, and we have to ask ourselves this question. Is Hillary Clinton an agent of the Chinese Communist Party? Yes, I just asked that question. You guys saw that clip at the beginning. We're going to talk a lot about the latest Q post and this and many more stories. You guys are going to want to stick around and check it out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always invite everyone to come here and click the big red subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. So today we're picking up here at Q Post 3331. We have a brand new Q post, and it's a pretty interesting one that we're going to cover here. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check that out. Plus, we're going to talk about a lot of the news stories going on, especially with regard to the clip you just saw at the beginning of this episode. We're going to be going a little more in depth into that. That was Hillary Clinton on Rachel Maddow's show saying that. So it's unbelievable, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to start there. But before we get into that, I want to actually invite everyone to come back here, watch these latest videos. If you guys want to get caught up on the latest Q posts, it's the best way to get caught up. And if you're scratching your head going, what the heck's QAnon? Come and find this video, What is QAnon and the Great Awakening? It will give you all that information you need, plus much, much more. So you guys are going to want to check that out. So today, without further ado, we're going to get into the latest Q posts. And the first thing we get is this link to a video. And it's this video right here, which is this scene from, I guess, the Karate Kid, where he obviously walks into a dojo and sees these guys here, I guess Cobra Kai. I'm not really familiar with the whole Karate Kid movie, to be quite honest. I think I saw it when I was a lot younger and just not that familiar. I know there's a spin-off show on YouTube called Cobra Kai, and in this scene, simply because of copyright issues with YouTube and all that stuff, I don't want to put this on the video because then it'll get copyright claimed, and they may even try to pull the whole video down. So you could see, though, they're basically talking, and you can see the words down here. And it's like saying, fear does not exist in a dojo. And it's saying, let's see, defeat does not exist in a dojo. And then it's saying just all this stuff about the dojo. And this guy's kind of walking around menacingly, screaming at these kids. And this guy, I think it's Ralph Macchio, came in and he sits down like he's going to join this gym. And then there's this epic scene where he makes eye contact with this guy who was like the enemy in the movie. And yeah, that's the scene. I'll leave a link if you guys want to actually watch the full scene for yourself. It's pretty interesting, but we're going to kind of figure it out what that means. So the Q post in regard to that saying, you're witnessing the systemic destruction of the old guard. May 2019, kickoff, start, offense, enjoy the show, Q. Well, obviously, this is a message we've been getting from Q for a while now. The destruction of the old guard, the systematic, I should say, destruction of the old guard. And May 2019, I guess this is the month that we're kicking it all off, which makes perfect sense. If you guys watched the last video I did, this one right here, it's kind of like the highlights and the lowlights of yesterday's hearing with Attorney General Barr, where he was slandered by members of Congress, and he basically continues to stand by his original findings that President Trump did not collude with the Russians, right? And this goes directly to that with that clip. The point I'm trying to make goes directly with that clip you guys saw of Hillary Clinton at the beginning of the show, where she makes a plea, even if it is sarcastic or in some sort of trying to make a point, that the Chinese should just give us the private financial records of the sitting U.S. president. There's a big difference between that and saying, hey, if the Russians have these emails that expose the criminality, let's see them. But that aside, because you can't actually, I'm trying to be objective. You can see a parallel there, and so you have to look at it, objectively and say, I understand the point she's trying to make, except, like I said in a tweet earlier, and we're going to talk about this, it's a little bit different when you're accused of leaking special access program classified intel to the Chinese, which led to the internment or capture and kill of 18 to 20 clandestine intelligence assets in China. But that's, let's just save that for a little bit later in the video, and we'll get right back into this. So I thought Anon made a great point over here on the boards. It says, seems people are missing the point of this. It says Cobra Kai, which I guess is the place where they were, the bad guys were training, was teaching a normalized war methodology. And presumably they are the Black Hats. And Miyagi-Do, which I'm assuming is where the Karate Kid worked with Mr. Miyagi. And excuse me, that's what that says. Miyagi Dojo, whatever. White Hats played effectively and patiently and struck with honor when the time was right, the competition. So it says, in this part of the movie, Daniel goes there to explore and thinks about joining, but he leaves once he sees there is no honor, and he begins ascending his payback and training as a result. So this is an interesting take on it, and I thought this was basically, seemingly, the point that Q's trying to make, is that, and I hate to say this, like getting into these crazy comparisons, but it actually is kind of quite appropriate when you consider the context, especially of the clip we just saw at the beginning of this episode, because this is what Hillary Clinton's new tactic is, and it's going to blow up in her face. I can guarantee you that, metaphorically speaking. So let's just say that this was a good interpretation of what I thought we were looking at. So a few other things, though. Let's go back and look at all the times Q mentioned the old guard. I thought this was a good way to kind of track how we've come to this point. So back in July of 2018, Q says, we're witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. Power return to the people. Of course, in the next one here, it says, what happens when you are a threat to the mainstream media old guard? And it gives this NBC News tweet, which talks about Reddit announcing a data breach. I'm doing air quotes, you can't see that. That threatens the anonymity of users. I wonder why. I wonder why that data breach just popped up right around the same time as the Great Awakening, I think, was getting removed and all that stuff. It's because they're globalist owned and operated, and they're not afraid to weaponize their ability to expose your personal private information. And the whole point, especially of the Q movement, is we're all basically anonymous doing the research together. Now, some of us are way less anonymous than others, obviously, but that is the point. The point is that we are just a group of people who are coming together and looking at information and using our own logical thinking and doing our own research. And that's kind of the point, right? But of course, you can keep going through these. Here was one that we got back in August of 2018, where it shows us this clip from MSNBC, which, obviously with the Maddow clip from the beginning, is talking about how Hillary Clinton has all of these endorsements from every newspaper in the country, and Trump's got zero. Okay, yeah. Remember the polls that said she was going to win by 90 to 98%? And then what happened, what really happened? And then all the way down here, because it goes through things that we've talked about. It's like point one, the fake news logic and how they manipulate people. So if people believe the odds are hopeless, their candidate will win. Do they still make the effort to vote? Point two, if people believe the odds are overwhelming, their candidate will win, do they still make the effort to vote? Does one cancel two? Point three, fake news logic. If people believe the majority of people feel a certain way about something, do they go with the majority to feel accepted? It's the herd mentality, that kind of thing. And of course, they live in their echo chambers. But it says prior to the new platforms, networks connecting people, i.e. Q, i.e. YouTube, i.e. you name it, any alternative source of information sharing other than these big networks who have the strangleholds, which now they have the strangleholds on YouTube too. Let's be quite honest. Google and them have decided to basically game the algorithms to the point where if my video, say I make a video and it gets 900,000 views, it just happened, 1 million views, let's say, and it has the most views about that subject. Instead of when you type in that subject line, instead of the YouTube algorithm pulling up that video that's got 1 million views, so it's got more than any other video on it, it'll give you NBC, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, and then maybe a Fox article somewhere down at the bottom, a Fox video, it's Fox News down at the bottom somewhere. They'll give you Vox. They'll give you every other, because they're putting they're publishing content by selecting what search results are presented and what's recommended in your suggested video feed. Because you watch one of these videos, go look. I challenge you guys to go look. So you're watching this video on YouTube. Go look in the what's recommended next section. See how many of those next suggested videos are videos from my channel. You're here watching my channel. Presumably you'd want to watch more of my videos, right? I mean, just hypothetically speaking, it's like when I go watch, any video that I can say I watch a China Uncensored video. I want to watch more China Uncensored videos, right? I'm just using that as a random example. It's a channel on YouTube. But they have decided to wield their control. It says, did the old guard have full control? Did the old guard learn from this mistake in 2016 election and now tasking all new platforms and networks to censor? When you're awake, you can see clearly. And the more time has gone on, the more this point becomes incredibly clear. They've gamed the algorithms against you and your ability to find information. And this is a very common practice, and they're not shy about saying that that's what they do, because they call them authoritative sources. Because the only authoritative source in the world is CNN, MSNBC, CBS, NBC. There's nothing outside of them. You and I, we don't exist. Our voices are not authoritative because we don't have billions of dollars and we're not controlled by the old guard. So you see the dynamic that Q's showing us here through this new post, and I think it speaks exactly to what we're going through today. When it talks about what their playbooks were, to go after Justice Kavanaugh, that was one that was just sick and evil. It's exactly the same playbook they're running now with Barr. You take somebody and you impugn their character and you slander them and you say that they are basically a traitor and doing these criminal things when there's absolutely no proof to back up what you're saying. Like I showed you guys yesterday in this video, I showed you Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, the Democratic nut job senator who was slandering Attorney General Barr. I mean, just in the middle of a testimony, she's just ripping him apart and saying these awful things, making accusatory statements and slandering his character. So, hey, that's where we're at now, obviously. And what's the old guard that's falling. So you keep going through these. Here was a good one I picked out. It was Mueller. I found Mueller designed to demonstrate to foreign players that old guard still pulls strings. So of course, that was the whole Mueller thing. It was a blockade. It was meant to take all the information that showed their crimes that we're starting to uncover now with abusing the FISA courts and so on, and covering up for Hillary and all that stuff, and put it into an ongoing investigation so that Congress couldn't effectively have oversight. And they actually managed to weaponize that to steal the 2018 election and then to steal power back in the House of Representatives. And now they're launching their fake and phony investigations. And Nadler is he's not running a committee. He's running a dictatorship. He is refusing to even acknowledge the minority. And and he's basically breaking parliamentary rules and procedures that go to how they run the congressional hearings, right? So he's ignoring that. He's ignoring the minority, and he's unilaterally pushing his agenda through to go after President Trump, to subpoena his personal private finance records. You have Hillary going on Rachel Maddow and asking the Chinese, who, by the way, she had special access program information on her server that ended up in Chinese hands, but nobody wants to talk about that. She's asking China to give us President Trump's personal financial records, and you see where this is going. These people are desperate. And that's what this is continuing to show us. Of course, here, this was just another one of the facts that we're taking down the old guard and then trying to connect us to some crazy lunatic who does some crazy thing, which is just asinine in my opinion. And again, here, we're watching the firsthand demise of those in power, the old guard. And I thought this one was interesting because this is, why would you tell the plan if in doing so also alerts those who are actively engaged in hunting? You're witnessing the firsthand demise of those in power, old guard. So a lot of the stuff that we're putting out here and have put out on this board, I think, is a part of a larger plan, which I've told you guys about before. And it goes on to explain a couple other things, talking about Antifa, right? This was an interesting one I found where it talks about the fact that we have Antifa going, basically they're doing some crazy stuff. Let's be quite honest. And you have CNN saying like they're great people. It's like, no, they're not great people. Neo-Nazis are not great people. Anybody who is like fascist and is running around the streets beating people over the head for the speech that they're saying, those people are not great people. As a matter of fact, it's been talked about that they act in a very terroristic manner. But let's just say this. Here's what it says. It says, are they afraid of U.S. patriots engaging in the same tactics? Did the liberal left old guard engage and form organizations such as Antifa to combat and silence fascism? Any such deviation of the controlled narrative? That makes perfect sense. I mean, especially if you look at their actions and what they've done. It is fascist for a group of people to put on black masks and wear full body armor and have big batons and sticks and clubs and walk down the street and purposely seek out people exercising their free speech rights in this country, and then to physically assault them in order to intimidate them out of exercising their free speech. That is the categorical definition of fascism. That's what the old guard apparently has put together for us. Isn't that nice? And they're not afraid to weaponize the people against. It's just like the Mao brigades. It's just like what happened in China when they weaponized the youth. They had the Mao brigades, the young kids, these teenage kids roaming the streets in groups, beating people and locking them and dragging them to prison because they refuse to bend the knee to those in power. And that was Mao, who was a communist who was trying to basically change the entire country overnight, which led to the deaths of millions and millions of people. But this is what they're trying to initiate here in this country because they don't care. See, you got to understand, you look at it from the politician's point of view. They're going to stay powerful. Bernie Sanders in a communist system is the dictator. He is your authoritarian leader, is the supreme head of the royal or the Communist Party. So there is no, he doesn't care. And the leftists and all of them don't care either because they're all politicians. They're all senators and representatives, and they have these six-figure jobs, and they have all these protections, and there's no term limits. So they can continue to bring in different demographics illegally in a lot of cases and execute voting fraud scams and then retain power through gerrymandering and other practices. But that's their plan, right? That's how they take over this country. That's how they destroy the freedom of our country, what the Constitution means, which is our right to privacy, our right to free speech, our right to bear arms, our right to be innocent until proven guilty, right? Those are the things, the tenet principles of our country that they're trying to destroy systematically, and that's why we're systematically targeting the old guard, because they are the ones pushing this all from their ivory towers, because they're all connected to multi-millionaire billionaires who have all the power in the world. The only thing they don't control is the United States government. That's the one thing left. They need to destroy us to bring this global order together, which then will make them even more powerful, because you see how freedom isn't the same in the rest of the world. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but you're not as free in any other country than America, by far, because of the thought police, the way that the left has weaponized this idea of hate speech and what's going on across the country, whether it's in the actual communist socialist countries like Venezuela and China, or whether it's in the authoritarian countries like Great Britain and basically most of Europe. The EU is an authoritarian, non-democratic system, in my opinion. I mean, it's basically a whole bunch of people in office representing people they don't even know, really, for the most part, or even live near, and they're dictating the policy for the rest of Europe from Brussels. But that's a whole other side. And this is how they enact it. They try to turn us against the people who are providing or protecting and serving us. The police who are here in our country, saving us from violence, saving us from all of these evil societal things, right, that we have to have protection from. But it says here, make the people fight themselves versus original targets. So the old guard's diverted. So that's why over the last, however many years, they've been saying, oh, the police are really the bad guys. They take one example out of hundreds of thousands of officers doing great job every single day, if not millions across our country doing a great job every day. They take the one bad apple, they put it on CNN, on national TV, and tell us that's what police are like. And then that causes a division. And they're doing the same thing in Europe. They're doing the same thing here. It's literally turning us against ourselves, because once we're fighting ourselves, then we can't take the time to look at them and say, wow, you are evil. You are manipulating our society. You're trying to undermine it for your own gain. And that's really where we're at. And then here's the last post. So that is really what I wanted to talk about today. There's a few other stories we can go over, I guess. Here's one. Nadler is acting like, or Nadler likens Trump to a dictator and threatens Barr with contempt after hearing boycott. So Attorney General Barr chose not to show up to this hearing in the House, which was a complete a joke, because Nadler had insisted that they bring in these outside counsel and have lawyers basically deposing Attorney General Barr in order to get him on some sort of, I think they're trying, as I've said before, they're trying to go after Barr just like they did Justice Kavanaugh. They're smearing his character, they're impugning his integrity, and they're saying that he is a liar and a criminal. And if you don't believe me, here's the story. Listen to Nancy Pelosi herself call Attorney General Barr a criminal. Let's hear this. Let's watch this.
Madam Speaker, did the Attorney General commit a crime?
He lied to Congress. He lied to Congress. If anybody else did that, it would be considered a crime. Nobody is above the law, not the President of the United States and not the Attorney General.
No, you lied to Congress. You lie to Congress every day almost. And it's just like, are we really at this point where you have the Speaker of the House, which was, by the way, they stole the 2018 election using this weaponized special counsel investigation and using this hoax about Russia collusion, which they're still pushing, but they used that to steal the election, put this woman in power, who's the third in line to the office of the presidency, mind you. That should be terrifying, first of all. She's calling the sitting Attorney General a liar and a criminal. Let's let her finish.
Being the Attorney General does not give you a bath to go say whatever you want, and it is the fact because you are the Attorney General.
Wait, see, what she's saying there is interesting. She's twisting it and saying that just because the Attorney General says it doesn't mean it's fact. Well, just because you say he's a liar and a criminal doesn't mean that's fact. Adam Schiff has called the president a liar and a criminal. Eric Swallow calls the president a liar and a criminal. Mazie Hirono calls the president a liar and a criminal. You guys do it on a daily basis, and it's not even backed by any factual, any factual sense of the law whatsoever. Yet you guys espouse this on a regular basis, and you expect us to live by a different set of rules because we're not Nancy Pelosi. We don't have multi-million-dollar mansions in California and a voter bloc that's basically immovable and a spot in Congress as the elders of Congress who are going to dictate to us how to live our lives because they just think they are so much more powerful than us. They're the arbiters of truth and morality and what's right and good. Remember what Nancy Pelosi said? Walls are evil. Right? So basically, according to her, that Attorney General Barr, just because he said it doesn't mean it's fact, although he's the most powerful legal prosecutor in the country, I guess we just shouldn't take him at his word because obviously he's a Russian agent too, and him and President Trump are in on it together. But let's continue.
Justice.
Should he go to jail for it?
There's a process involved here, and as I said, I'll say it again, and how many other questions you may have, the committee will act upon how we will proceed.
Don't you love how when she's asked, oh, should he go to jail? Her like hands start flying everywhere, and she's like, partisan politics can't compute. You know, obviously it's the wet brain from a few too many cocktails, but this woman is the third in line to the presidency, and I mean it's just terrifying. We have a procedure for that. You know, it's just you listen to her and you think, wow, this is where we're coming to. And these people are getting to the point where it's starting to become quite obvious that they are acting in the best interest of themselves and not the American people. And they've politicized our criminal justice system. Can you believe this? They've weaponized and politicized, from Obama all the way to Pelosi to the rest of them. Instead of the criminal justice system in our country representing the rule of law, representing the equality of law, they've used it now and said, no, the criminal justice system is a weapon that is to be used for political gain. That's what they've decided to do. And they're basically, using every little caveat of the law to their benefit as a political tool, a partisan weapon to go after their political enemies. This is how you devolve into a third world dictatorship. This is how you become Venezuela. This is how you become China, communist China. This is exactly the way that you lose what our founding fathers and everyone since then has tried to build, this republic, this city on a hill, if you will, this exceptional example of what is a guiding principle for us in the world as we should live. And it's one nation under God, but these people want to turn into one nation under the Democrats. So that to me is just a part of the biggest problem that we have here, I guess. But with that, I'm going to say thank you guys. A few things you guys can do to help out the channel. Before we go, I got a few more things, plus a special message at the end you're going to stick around for. But come here, click the big red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That helps out the channel. Also, there's a little like button, thumbs up button. Smash the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. Also, watch this video and all of these videos. Share them on your social media. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, because I want to hear what you guys have to say about all this. Don't forget to come find me over here on Twitter, where you'll get my incredibly thought-provoking, interesting tweets at JustInformYou on Twitter, at JustInformYou. Links to all of these will be in the description. Also, don't forget to check out JustInformNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. And you have here links to the Q stuff, links to different news websites, links to breaking news, and, of course, the videos. And that's a cool tool for you guys to use. Don't forget to come find Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. You guys are what make this channel possible. You come here, give as little as $1 and know you're supporting this channel. It's a monthly donation, so for as little as $1 a month, you can help keep this channel alive. So I encourage everyone to come check out Patreon, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. Link will be in the description. You guys should come check it out. Also, if you guys don't want to do the monthly thing and you want to make a one-time donation or anonymous donation, I have a GoFundMe set up. So you guys check that out. Both links will be in the description. So before we go, I'm going to share this piece of scripture with you, which I think is very appropriate in looking forward to how we will defeat this evil that exists in the world. And this is called the believer's triumph. It's out of the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 31 through 39. And I want to share these words with you because I hope that they stoke the fires of your heart and make you realize that we will triumph over this great evil. But it says, "What then are we to say about these things? If God is for us, who is against us? He did not even spare his own son, but offered him up for us all. How will he not also with him grant us everything? Who can bring an accusation against God's elect? God is the one who justifies. Who is the one who condemns? Christ Jesus is the one who died, but even more has been raised. He also is at the right hand of God and intercedes for us. Who can separate us from the love of Christ? Can affliction or anguish or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, because of you, we are being put to death all day long. We are counted as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than victorious through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing will have the power to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Those words to me are exactly what we need to hear. And just remember, if God is for us, who can be against us? Take that message and put it out in the world. Tell your friends and family and loved ones, and even the strangers that you meet on the street, the least of these. That's the message we should share with them every day. And that's the message I'm going to leave you with. So again, thank you for coming here. Now's a great time to do it. Come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and hit that like button if you guys like this content and want to see more. That's going to be it for me. I want to say thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.